For generations, Philippine tennis existed far from the spotlight, barely appearing in conversations about the sport's future. Then Alex Ayer arrived and completely changed the expectations surrounding what a player from the country could achieve. This is the story of how one young athlete shattered barriers that had seemed impossible to break and opened a door many believed had been locked forever. For decades, sports culture in the Philippines followed familiar patterns. Basketball captured the country's attention and dominated public passion. Volleyball created stars who inspired crowds across the nation. Badminton produced respected names and memorable achievements. But tennis remained almost unseen. It felt like a distant world, often limited to exclusive clubs and small circles, while much of the country rarely experienced it. The foundation for growth was fragile. Courts struggled under difficult conditions. Training systems lacked modern support. Financial resources were limited and often disappeared before creating long-term progress. Young athletes carried enormous dreams, but turning those dreams into reality felt almost impossible. Filipino players occasionally appeared in international rankings, but those moments often faded quickly. There was no lasting momentum, no consistent success story, and little belief that sustained progress could happen. Resources available to support development frequently fell short of what larger tennis nations considered basic investment. Talent appeared from time to time, showing flashes of promise before opportunities slowly disappeared. Potential repeatedly collided with difficult circumstances. Every rising player seemed trapped in the same painful choice: remain with limited support or search for opportunities abroad and risk leaving a part of their identity behind. The distance between ambition and reality did not feel large. It felt impossible to cross. Young girls looked toward the future and quietly understood that where they were born often determined how far they could go. Then someone decided that reality did not have to stay unchanged. Alexandra Ayer emerged as a rare exception, where determination met opportunity at exactly the right moment. Her family saw possibilities in tennis when many others saw limitations. Instead of accepting barriers around them, they searched for ways to create opportunities beyond them while keeping a strong connection to home. What separated Ayer from others was not simply technique or skill. Many athletes possessed talent. Her difference came from mindset. She stepped onto the court carrying a determination that felt bigger than personal success alone. Every match seemed connected to something greater. She played with the feeling that she represented more than herself. The journey unfolded in a way few expected, moving through junior events and developmental competitions while steadily climbing systems that had rarely welcomed Filipino names before. She entered competition with a level of focus rarely seen at her age, approaching every opponent not as a problem to fear but as an opportunity to learn and improve. Then, during her teenage years, something changed completely. Ayer evolved from a talented young player into a serious competitor capable of challenging anyone standing across the net. Her serve gained impressive precision. Her movement around the court became sharper and more efficient. Her understanding of strategy advanced far beyond what many expected from someone so young. Opponents no longer faced a promising teenager with potential. They faced a player who studied patterns, anticipated decisions, and recognized weaknesses with remarkable awareness. International attention did not arrive through a single shocking moment or one unexpected upset. It grew steadily through consistent performances. Tournament victories began stacking up, rankings continued climbing, and her presence became harder to ignore throughout the professional circuit. She represented something Philippine tennis had struggled to create before: long-term success built through development, hard work, and determination rather than luck or circumstance alone. Soon, newspapers across the Philippines regularly featured her story. Sports commentators mentioned her name naturally because audiences already knew exactly who she was. Young athletes began seeing something they had rarely seen before: possibility. For the first time, Philippine tennis had a figure capable of inspiring an entire generation. The change was never announced with dramatic headlines. It simply started happening. Whenever Ayer walked onto major international courts, she was not only entering a match, she was making a statement. Larger tournaments immediately took notice. Experienced competitors, recognized that they were facing a different level of challenge. She earned victories against seeded players, against athletes supported by far greater systems, and against expectations that had long placed limits on Filipino success. Her rise became impossible to ignore. Rankings moved upward rapidly. Grand Slam appearances became reality. Media organizations beyond Southeast Asia began following her journey because her performances demanded attention. Yet her impact extended far beyond trophies and rankings. Aya became a symbol of something many once considered unreachable, a Filipino athlete competing at the highest levels of tennis without accepting limitations or believing she belonged anywhere below the best. She carried confidence on the court while maintaining the determination of someone who understood struggle. Sponsorship opportunities increased. International training and development options expanded. Coaches and organizations showed greater interest. Still, her biggest influence was never financial. It was mental and emotional. Filipino families suddenly started seeing tennis differently. Young girls picked up rackets with stronger belief because they now understood that their nationality did not define their future. Victories continued growing, rankings improved further, and her success challenged long-standing assumptions surrounding Philippine tennis. With every achievement, another barrier disappeared. Interest in infrastructure increased. Coaching development gained momentum. International attention shifted from surprise to expectation. Yet success beyond her country's borders meant little compared with the transformation happening inside the Philippines itself. The response across the Philippines was immediate and powerful as Aya's rise quickly grew beyond sports alone. She was no longer viewed only as an athlete. She became a symbol that barriers once believed impossible to break could actually disappear through determination, belief, and relentless effort. Television channels suddenly created space for her matches and stories. Streaming platforms gave her competitions greater visibility. Schools and educational programs began using her journey as an example of persistence and ambition. The impact stretched far beyond traditional tennis communities. Families that once focused entirely on basketball started buying tennis rackets. Volleyball organizations introduced additional training opportunities connected to the sport. Communities in rural areas began discussing facilities that previously seemed unrealistic or unnecessary. Parents looked at their children differently because they suddenly saw proof that talent from the Philippines could compete on much larger stages. Sports leaders redirected attention and resources toward programs once considered too risky or unimportant. Aya's presence gave Philippine tennis a level of credibility it had struggled to achieve for years. International relationships developed naturally, not out of sympathy but through growing respect for emerging talent and potential. Sponsors invested with greater confidence. Media organizations expanded their coverage. Tennis slowly shifted from being viewed as a small niche activity into a sport carrying real national attention and competitive promise. Her influence reached deep into everyday culture. Children copied her style and movements on the court. Universities included her story in recruiting materials and motivational campaigns. Families pointed to her journey when encouraging younger generations to continue pushing toward difficult goals. Social media platforms filled with support, discussions, highlights, and analysis of her techniques and performances. Yet perhaps her most important achievement happened in a place far beyond rankings and trophies. Aya challenged long-standing beliefs about what Filipino athletes could accomplish. For years, many accepted the idea that certain sports simply belonged to countries with stronger systems, larger investments, or deeper traditions. Her success confronted those assumptions directly. The psychological change that followed felt impossible to reverse. Filipino athletes started approaching international competition with greater confidence. Hope replaced doubt. Possibility replaced limits. She had rewritten the expectations surrounding Filipino athletes and changed the way an entire country viewed itself on the global stage. The difference between Philippine tennis before Aya and after her rise became increasingly visible. Numbers and trends began reflecting that change. Before her emergence, many Filipino players remained far from the spotlight in world rankings and international competition. As Aya's influence grew, expectations shifted dramatically. More opportunities opened for younger prospects. Invitations to larger tournaments increased. Sponsorship routes expanded. Access to equipment and resources improved. The change was no longer a feeling alone. It was becoming visible across the sport itself. Coaching systems across the country also began changing at a remarkable pace. Training programs expanded and development centers started embracing stronger international standards. These changes did not appear randomly. Many believe they followed the momentum created by Eala's success, proving that investing in Filipino tennis could lead to meaningful results. Media attention also changed in ways that became increasingly noticeable. Television coverage dedicated more time to Philippine tennis. News stories expanded from local outlets into broader international discussions. Social media activity surrounding Filipino athletes grew rapidly. Merchandise connected to Philippine tennis figures reached levels of popularity that once seemed difficult to imagine. The gap in infrastructure also started shrinking. Courts received upgrades, training equipment became more advanced, coaching programs improved, and athlete support systems gained greater structure. Opportunities expanded beyond wealthy communities and reached wider groups of people. Areas that previously had little connection to tennis development suddenly gained access to real competitive opportunities. Perhaps the most important change happened in the way people thought. Before Eala's rise, many Filipino athletes viewed tennis as a distant dream, something successful players from other nations achieved while local athletes struggled to imagine reaching the same level. After her emergence, the sport felt different. Tennis no longer seemed unreachable. It felt possible, realistic, and capable of becoming a genuine future path. The transformation extended beyond statistics and rankings because it changed how people viewed opportunity itself. Numbers help explain growth, but they cannot fully describe the deeper shift that happened across the country. A nation began believing in itself in a new way because one athlete refused to accept limits placed in front of her. The distance traveled was not measured only through rankings and achievements. It was reflected in the hopes and confidence of countless people inspired by her journey. This story reaches beyond sports alone. It represents the power of determination meeting belief. Eala did more than win matches and build a successful career. She changed how an entire country viewed its own potential. The rise of Philippine tennis through her journey carries a message that reaches far beyond one athlete or one generation. Greatness does not belong to a specific place or background. What seems impossible today can become reality tomorrow when someone decides not to accept the limits others place before them. Philippine tennis was not simply brought back to life. It was awakened, and that impact continues reaching communities and inspiring young athletes to chase dreams they once believed were out of reach.